About 45 minutes from the heart of Boston lies a quaint little hamlet full of woodlands, parks, Dunkin' Donuts storefronts, and aliens. We are getting into one of the most unique cryptids ever spotted tonight on Midnight Cryptid Club. Hello everyone and welcome to the Midnight Cryptid Club. I'm your host, Natalie Rose, and today we are talking about a cryptid that there's really no comparison for. This whole incident involves 3 separate sightings recorded in a period of 26 hours and was hardly ever discussed again. We are talking about the Dover Demon. As we talk all about this very extra strange possible extraterrestrial cryptid. Before we get started, if you're not a member of the club just yet, hit that like button for me and be sure to subscribe because we discuss a different monster every Friday at midnight. Today, our story starts on April 21st, 1977. It's 10:30 p.m. and 17-year-old William, or Bill, Bartlett, was driving down the road with 2 of his friends. It's the height of spring break and they're looking for a party or something else to do that's teenagery. They were making their way north on Farm Street through the town of Dover when Billy spotted something crawling along a stone wall running parallel to the road. He slows the car, thinking for a moment it might have been a dog or a cat, but when his headlights illuminate the animal, he realizes it's something he's never seen before. Billy's account describes the creature as having 2 large, round, glassy, lidless eyes. He likened them to 2 orange marbles that sat in the animal's watermelon-shaped head. This head is said to rest atop a thin neck. Apparently, besides the head, the rest of the creature's body is said to be very thin with long, spindly limbs and large hands and feet. Its skin is said to be pretty hairless and peach-colored. Billy described it as looking as though it had a rough texture like wet sandpaper. The creature stood 3.5 to 4 feet tall, which may sound a little small compared to the snallygasters and mothmen of the world, but if you think about it, that's still the size of a 6 or 7-year-old. That is not a small animal. This sighting shocked Billy so much that he rushed home very upset and quickly drew a sketch of the creature, which is still studied by cryptozoologists today. He actually wrote on his sketch, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature." Unfortunately, neither of his friends saw the creature, which is also a little strange. Now, it's hard to say what this exact creature could actually be, but there are several more grounded theories as to what these teens could have seen that night. One of the most common of these is that these teens could have come across a young moose calf wandering around the forest. Moose calves do stand about 4 feet tall and can actually walk as newborns. They do have a long head with eyes set far apart that could somewhat match Bartlett's sketch. In addition, their limbs are kind of spindly, which would match that description. However, moose are typically born in late May or early June, making it unlikely that there would be a calf that size wandering around in April. Plus, that area of Massachusetts isn't really known for moose. Some have speculated that other things, like your average cow-calf, could also have that orange rosy coloring, or an owl could have the orangey eyes that we're seeing. Owls also have a kind of spindly build in their legs if seen in the right light, but truly, it's tough to see the resemblance when seeing the sketch and seeing an owl side by side. Now, this one sighting would have been easy enough to write off on its own, but this was only the beginning. Around midnight, in another part of town, 15-year-old John Baxter leaves his girlfriend Kathy Cronin's house on the south end of Miller High Road. Then, Baxter starts walking up the street on his way home. Half an hour later, as he's walked about a mile, he observes someone approaching him. Because the figure is short, Baxter assumes it's an acquaintance of his who lives up the street. John calls out and got no response. They continue to approach each other until finally the creature stops. Baxter stops and asks, "Who is that?" The sky is dark and overcast and you can only see a shadowy figure. Trying to get a better look, Baxter takes 1 step forward and the figure scurries off. It runs down into a shallow wooded gully and up the opposite bank. As it runs, Baxter can hear its footsteps on the dry leaves. He follows the figure down the slope and then stops and looks across the gully. There he sees the creature, standing in silhouette about 30 feet away. Its feet looked molded around the top of a rock. The creature's body reminded Baxter of a monkey's, except for its dark, figure-8-shaped head. Its eyes, 2 lighter spots in the middle of its head, are looking straight at Baxter, who after a few minutes begins to feel uneasy. Realizing he's never seen a creature like this before and fearing what it might do next, he backs up the slope. He then walks very fast down the road to the intersection at Farm Street. There, a couple passing in a car pick him up and drive him home. Baxter actually also sketched the creature, and if we put these sketches side by side, it's definitely a match. The very next night, a teenage girl by the name of Abby Brabham claimed to have seen the creature on Springdale Avenue while driving home with her boyfriend. Now, these are all individually pretty crazy, but the craziest part of all of this is that none of these people ever spoke to each other. These sightings actually weren't made public until a month after they all happened, and if you map them, they all take place in a straight line that ran about 2 miles. The Dover Demon does have his own exhibit at the International Cryptozoological Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine, but the case is actually often overlooked by cryptozoologists. Apparently, the one-hit wonder nature of the whole thing isn't super popular, and there haven't really been sightings since. Well, there was one in 1978 when Billy Bartlett, who we talked about before, saw the creature one more time around the same place. It was said in an interview that he doesn't really love revisiting the memory and would rather let the whole thing finally blow over one of these days. If you want to do more reading on the Dover Demon, many of the first-hand accounts that we discussed were collected by Lauren Coleman, who we've referenced before when we talked about the Enfield Horror. He put these all in his book, Mysterious America, and we'll have that linked in the description. And Billy Bartlett, who actually made one of those sketches, went on to become a fine artist and has a bunch of really amazing paintings if you want to go look through them. That's what he really wants to be known for these days. Guys, thank you so much for attending this week's club meeting. It is so nice to be back with everybody as we continue to discuss our favorite cryptids. I have to say this one I think is one of my favorites that I've ever looked into. I think the case is just fascinating, but I'd love to know what you think about that. Let me know down below. We will see you next week, but for now, good night, sleep tight, and don't let the monsters bite.